So, another great year for the city of Newport. I never get bored with saying that, for sure. First, I want to thank you all for being here. I apologize for the delay back in August, but this might actually be a nicer time of the year with the weather anyway for that. I know last time was hot. We were in here with all the windows. It gets quite hot in August. So this is a perfect time of year. And as Alan pointed out, the trees and everything look good, beautiful. City looks good. So we have roared back from shutdowns and slowdowns, both lingering effect of COVID and high inflation. So the stock market basically has been static for the last 3 years, which affects everyone in here, including our pension funds and your own retirement funds as well. But during this period of time, the city has attracted well over 100 million. We're probably at 200 million today. Since COVID, we've attracted about $200 million of new development during that period of time. So the past few years have been difficult and challenging, but we are actually seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. It is times like this that we see how resilient our community actually is. I tell people who are new to the community, Newport really shouldn't be standing. In this period of time, the last 20 years, we lost a tremendous number of businesses for various reasons, whether it be consolidation, they got bought out, or they just went out of business. Trout Dairy, Kmart, XPO, Humana. Those are just a few of them that we lost. So in my calculation, we lost all these businesses in the last 20 years, well over 2,000 jobs. If you go back to the 80s, we lost the steel mill. We lost Wiedemann Brewery. We lost Green Line, which became Tank, by the way, Tank Bus. It was Green Line, who was headquartered in Newport back then. We lost Palm Beach Clothing. So all those were big blue-collar jobs, well-paying jobs that we lost. So when you take that period of time that we're still standing and being successful, it really is a testament to Newport's resiliency, and you all are a part of that. So I think it's important to recognize that. Go ahead, George. Looks like mug shots. So our elected officials, which I always bring this up, no city can do well with consistent turnover in the elected bodies. Now there's different schools of thoughts, but I've lived it. Stability gives you the opportunity to keep your eye on the ball over a long period of time. You don't make change or success or have success in 2 years. It takes 10 years, it takes 20 years, sometimes even longer. To establish a culture is not a fleeting thing. It's something you have to build upon to create a culture. And we've been lucky in the city to have stable elected leadership for that. So I'm grateful. Our staff is grateful for that. And that's a large reason for our success. Go ahead. A few little feel-good pictures here. Groundbreakings, Italian Fest, and things like that. Juneteenth celebration there. Go ahead, Josh. So let's get into the operation of the city here. You can see what I was just talking about. Stability leads to this. So our revenue from occupational license, which is a lot of you all, businesses, is where this comes from. You can see 14 to 23, all the way up. And you see it's basically, when it gets into like the fourth quarter of each year, it's staggering the difference there over that period of time with that. So when you look at this, the revenue here in that 9-year cycle doubled in revenue in this period. And I do like to do that. If you've been to these before, I do like to look back to see where we're going into the future, because that really does tell a story. Considering payroll is 32% of our revenue, it's the lion's share of how we pay the bills. So revenues, fiscal year 23, property taxes total. That includes pilot payments, which some people in here may be familiar with pilot payments. It's payment in lieu of taxes. Usually that's an incentive development for new companies that move into the city. For the school district, it works really well. It works really well for the city and the county. And since I bring up the school and the county, I do want to acknowledge the superintendents here today and the school board chairpersons here, Ramona Malone and Justin Otto's here from the county. I want to acknowledge their partnership with the city over the many years. Without their help, trust me, we would not be where we're at. They're a big partners. So we cherish that relationship, and we appreciate it more than you all would probably know. License permits, which go into payroll tax, occupational taxes, $18.35 million for that. So, and then you have intergovernmental, which is grants and things like that. So our total revenues here, $27,600,000. Go to the next. Expenses, we really do our best to have expenses come in on revenues. We really don't like being over budget. So we monitor that strictly. The department heads play a major role in that, keeping us under budget every year for that. I'm not going to go through each line item there, but public safety is the lion's share. It's like that in almost every community in the country. In Newport, it's about 58%, 56% of our total budget is public safety, rightfully so. They are critical. They're really the ambassadors of the city 24 hours a day because they're out in the public. Usually the first people you'll see is the public safety, whether it be police or fire. When you come into a city, you'll see a police officer patrolling, or you'll see a life squad making a call. But when you visit the city, they don't know who the city manager is walking down the street or the mayor, but they see a police officer, they know what it is with that. But you see our expenses came in, I think we're missing a digit there, but our expenses came in about $2 million less than our revenue last year. Go ahead, Phil. Business growth. Past fiscal year, 53 new businesses. That's net, by the way. We do have losses, so we subtract the lost businesses from the new to come up with our net with 300 plus new employees. Our top 5 largest new employers, not existing but new, is Megacore Logistics, 145 employees. They're located in the Ovation Project, the new office building down there. Amador Restaurant, 50 employees. Tropical Smoothie, 20 employees. So you can read and see those. So we cherish the large companies and the smallest. A one-person operation or a two-person operation is just as important to us as a 500-person place. There's room in Newport for every size business, every size. We try not to put all our eggs in one basket. A lot of communities, and Newport was in that boat before, a lot of communities have one large employer. If that one large employer leaves, what happens? They can't pay the bills. Layoffs lead Spire, because that's a catastrophe when that happens for a city with one big employer, and that's all they have. So we do pursue diversification in different types of businesses. Go ahead. And this is go back, I'm sorry. Another picture here, the different ribbon cuttings. We have so many ribbon cuttings, I've lost track. Thank God I got Bev Holiday here to schedule them all. So we got so many of them. Go ahead. Different accomplishments throughout the year, and this is just a few pictures. This was the board retreat we had back in February. We laid out what we were working on doing in the next year. Go ahead. So, public safety is busy, busy, busy. When you have success, it brings people. With people, you have things occur, whether it be calls for life squad or police calls for a variety of reasons. This is what here. So Newport Fire Department last year responded to 1,900 fire calls and nearly 3,000 EMS calls, life squad calls. Spent 6,600 hours in training. They do extensive community education programs as well. The police department truly believes in community-oriented policing. Oftentimes that term is used loosely, but we really do go after the community-oriented policing philosophy, and the chief does a really good job of doing that, for that. Now what that means to me is this: if you have to arrest someone, you already failed. I know there's certain times you have to make an arrest, but their goal is not always just to make an arrest. That's the easy way to do policing. Is when you don't have to make an arrest, is when you know you're doing a good job for that. Last year they responded to 26,000+ calls. Quite a bit for a city the size of Newport, quite a bit. Public Works, they're busy. We have 11 guys on the street that take care of all the things going on in Newport. And with a 228-year-old city, there's a lot of things to take care of, trust me. Infrastructure is our biggest ongoing cost. Now what's happened in a lot of communities over the years, and Newport included, infrastructure is ignored when it's convenient due to lack of funding. So they let things go, not necessarily because they want to, because they have to. We're faced with various issues: streets, alleys, and the list goes on and on and on. But when you have a 228-year-old community, that's something that's critical. So we really try, and we designate so much money per year to infrastructure improvements per year. So the board really did a good job with that as well. And the finance department, they are really a critical hidden component of the city, but they do all the collection for our various things, send out various notices, send out tax bills, that dirty word for that. But they also keep track of records, like with these developments, like with Corporex, and deal with the state on a variety of economic projects, deal with the school board and the county on various things as well. So they do an awful lot of work behind the scenes. Go ahead. So one of the things we did last year, due to our being so busy, and we separated out planning and zoning from code enforcement, and it's worked out quite better, more efficiently anyway, and better in my opinion. So now you have code enforcement that operates under the assistant manager, then our planning and zoning coordinator takes care of planning and zoning. So Newport has 3 full-time level 3 building inspectors and 2 part-time level 3s. Now what does that mean? That's the highest certification you can have in that field. So our director is a level 3, and we have 4 other level 3s in that department. We do that because we have expanded jurisdiction. So we do commercial inspections, building inspection. A lot of communities don't have that. So if you're looking to move here and you have a large business and you have complex development issues, you deal directly with local officials, which is much quicker than dealing with the state. Not knocking the state, but the state has the whole state to deal with, versus we're dealing with our community only. So the turnaround time on this is probably half, Brian, than what it used to be.
Easily.
Easily, half of what it was. Why we did this? We almost lost, or we did lose, a prospective business in one of our office buildings because the delay for getting approvals from the state was nearly 6 months on that development, on that issue. So that's what prompted us to apply for expanded jurisdiction. So that's why we have so many level 3 building inspectors on staff. Go ahead, Jim. A few of the projects that we've been doing, and it all based on funding. So we've been redoing the pavement on the Monmouth Street. We started at the 11th and Monmouth and working our way north. Down there, I think we're going to do 2 streets this coming year, 2 more blocks on Monmouth Street. And going back to 02, and that goes back to stability. In 02, for those that were here, do you remember what Monmouth Street looked like? I do. Telephone poles, unsightly wires, garbage bags thrown out. So during this period of time, we adopted the toter program. We're the first city to do that. In concert, we adopted the Code Enforcement Board. Then we invested a significant amount of money on infrastructure on Monmouth Street. So we put lines underneath the ground, and we made new sidewalks with pavers and everything. So the difference when you look at Monmouth Street then today is remarkable. I often say when I look out my office window, which looks down Monmouth Street, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I don't see much litter, if any. I couldn't have said that 25 years ago. It just wasn't possible. It was all over the place. We adopted recently the entertainment district for Monmouth Street. We're doing a pilot for the top 3, I call it the top 3 blocks, but from 7th to like 10th or 7th to 11th, we're looking at doing the entertainment district. I know some of the neighboring communities have done it. It's turned out to be quite successful for them. So that's something that we're going to be doing as we move forward. The historic district, we're in the middle of adopting a new historic district in the city. For those that have been here again, the East Road Historic District has been the model for success. Having grown up in the East End, I've seen it from before the adoption to today. So trust me, it's changed dramatically over these many years. So we're getting ready to adopt a new district in the west side of town. And already, for those that are interested or have been paying attention, West End property already is like unbelievable. The sales, the numbers that are going for this is really exploded for that. So I feel there's nothing but success as we move into the future for the west side of town. We have the developer here today for the Peaceville development. That's going to be a hotel, office, mixed-use development with structured parking for 400 vehicles. So we're well on our way towards getting that project off the ground. And Mr. Pan, who spearheads that development group, has done a really good job. He also did the Hampton here in the city. For those that are familiar with that, that's a nice, really nice looking development, nice hotel in the city. So I look forward to this when this is completed as well. We have Martin's Gate at 13th Street. It's got great views of the city. It had a silent panorama this last year, which was quite successful given we had inclement weather during the whole time, the whole couple weekends for that thing as well. For some other issues we've done, we did the website redesign for the city. At the time we did it, it was like 10, 12 years old for the old website, so we updated that. US 27, from 11th Street to Southgate, and the rest of Carruthers Road from like, where the old Ponderosa was there. That's where Firestone is now, right, Firestone. So over to Mama Street. So that's all going to be redeveloped. So we plan on going out to bids this winter. Construction will probably start sometime in spring for that. What that means, underground utilities. You won't have a corridor through there with all these unsightly poles all the way down that are right on the curb, if you're familiar out there, right by the curb. Underground utilities, better stormwater control, because we have issue with flooding on there on 27. And we're putting a 12-foot, 10 to 12-foot pedestrian bicycle path all the way out. Through the underpass, all the way to Southgate. So it's a big, big, big improvement for those that love to walk or love to bicycle. It'll be much safer. Through the underpass, it'll be elevated. I don't know about anybody here, but whenever I walk through the underpass, I'm always worried about somebody clipping me going through there. So this will be above the vehicles, and it'll be better for handicapped individuals and, like I said, the bicyclists and pedestrians. So it's going to be a great improvement as we move through that development and that project as well. Some of the plans we have, and we're looking at raising funds for improvements to the Festival Park and James Taylor Park. Newport was the first phase of Riverfront Commons. 1995, can you believe that? 1995, when the city had the connection to the 4th Street Bridge, that was actually the first leg of what's now known as Riverfront Commons. So here we are now, 28 years later, we're still working on it. These things are expensive. That first phase cost $775,000. I couldn't even tell you, Pat, what it costs today. Probably be about 2 or 3 million, more than likely, for that. So those are some of the things that we are working on, and the designs for those are really, really remarkable. And maybe we'll be here 10 years from now and saying, remember how Festival Park used to look for that. So go ahead, Joy. And some more feel-good pictures of our staff here. They look like they're happy. That's because I wasn't there that day. So it's all good. All right. So, anybody any questions? What?